Okay, I think there's a lot of us here, so we can start. I'm Allison Andrachuk. I'm the director and CEO of the Bill Reid Gallery of Northwest Coast Art. And I'm so honored to join today from the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. And I'm so happy to introduce Chief Janice George to provide a welcome.
Ocean. Tanoyap in Sequatals, Ayas chop Tanoyap, Japemia Siam Quishamans Tanachin plus Nakas Homish Uhumeoch, on Wanacht and Squalwin. On Wanacht and Squalwin means I'm here with a respectful and happy heart today. And I just said peace to each and every one of you here today. I come from this place called Sanok, which is today called False Creek. And the chieftainship hereditary chieftainship I carry is from my father's side of the family. And my ancestors settled Sanok. So that's the history of my family. I'm just so honored to be here to welcome you to this beautiful event, to launch this book that I think is just so amazing in all ways. It's beautiful to look at, and just the whole spirit and feeling behind it, to speak with a golden voice, how much the legacy that this brilliant mind and fantastic artist has left us with. I just want to congratulate Beth and Gwaai and Martine and Nika and Tyson. I feel really so honored to see this happen, to see grandchildren see the accomplishments, to know the accomplishments of their grandfather. We can only hope, that we can have that beautiful legacy ourselves. And I'm just so in admiration and awe of this brilliant man and this beautiful book. So welcome, and thank you so much. Lucia.
Great. Thank you so much, Janice, for that welcome. And thank you everyone for joining us for our virtual book launch this afternoon. We're thrilled to introduce this new publication on Bill Reid, offering a more personal view of his life and his work alongside the exhibition To Speak with a Golden Voice. I get the wonderful job of giving thank yous. So I'd love to thank our key funders of the exhibition and the catalog, the DeMille Foundation, the Hamber Foundation, the Illahee Foundation, Eric and Jennifer Martin, the Peter and Joanne Brown Foundation, RBC Foundation, the City of Vancouver, and the Province of BC. I'd also like to thank the publication designer, Dahlia Ewan, and contributors Diane Brown, Tyson Brown, Beth Carter, Gwaai Edenshaw, Nika Collison, Dr. Martine Reid, Corey Savard, and Kinney Starr. Thanks also to Kenji Nagai for his beautiful photography of the exhibition that you can see in the publication. The catalog is now available online through our website or for purchase in person at our gallery gift shop. We invite you to put any questions for our speakers today into the chat, and I'll now turn things over to our key contributors to the exhibition and the publication, Gwaai Edenshaw and Beth Carter.
So thank you so much. It's really wonderful to see such a good turnout for today, our first ever online book launch. And Gwaai is tuning in with us from Haida Gwaai, and Gwaai and I have been working over the last 2 years on this project for the exhibition and the publication. I thought we could have just a brief chat to talk a little bit about the book. I'm holding it in my hands. Gwaai hasn't even seen the hard copy yet. But Gwaai and I worked and came up with the idea for the exhibition, and this book is an accompaniment to that. Gwaai, maybe you could start by just talking a little bit about the title we chose for the publication and the book and the exhibition.
Yeah, I think that we landed on the title quite early on in our discussion. Kitgulans was a name that Bill had for a while, and it spoke to us, so to speak, in terms of really encapsulating some of the facets that people remember fondly with Bill. And we started doing interviews, and one of the first big hiccups that we ran into was we were talking to Robert and found out that the name had actually been taken back from him. So we had to figure out what to do. We went to one of the current holders of that name, as well as so that's Christian White and Darren, who's chief of the clan that name belongs to, and discussed with them what we might do moving forward, and they were happy with us continuing to use it in the shape that we were using it. So we weren't specifically using his name, but I guess referencing it, and they were quite happy with that. So then we're happy to keep on moving forward. Now so of course it talks about his expressions in gold, but then also part of our memories of him is his spoken voice and his written words, and that is well, I won't say it's an unsung talent. It's something that everybody who knew him remembers about him. And me in particular, I remember after dinner having him read poems. There's a big bookshelf behind the dinner table, and he'd pull out Wilcox or somebody like that and read some poems to us as we sat around, and I'm sure everybody has things like that with him.
So the idea to use the title "To Speak with a Golden Voice" was really referencing our desire to activate who Bill was as a person. So rather than the static, just the artistic expression, which is throughout the exhibition and the publication, but also to talk about his process, his effect on other people, and also to gather the voices of his friends and family and colleagues who helped shared many different perspectives and different sides to Bill Reid, which made him the complex and amazing artist that he was. We also, the exhibition was really inspired by the 100th the celebration of his 100th birthday in 2020. So we opened in the middle of COVID, and we were planning to have the publication ready last year, but we're thrilled that we're able to launch it now, just as we are announcing that we're extending the exhibition until September 6th. And so we do invite people to come to the Bill Reid Gallery and visit the exhibition and see the book in person, and be able to enjoy learning more about Bill Reid. So Gwaai, one of the big themes that goes into the book is this idea of the unbroken line, and then the line follows through. These are two terms that you came up with to share in the publication and the exhibition. Maybe you could just talk a little bit more about those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I guess being a little punny there. So, they come out of lessons in the art from Bill. He always told me, that when you look at any design, but in particular a box design, you should be able to endlessly and with endless variation be able to follow that line around and around the box through the form line. And in the case of what we're talking about in the show, we're talking about, I think there persists kind of a myth that there was a pause in our culture and art. But in fact, what we're saying is that that there was no pause. That for instance, Bill was born the year that Charles Edenshaw died, but there were also throughout Charles Edenshaw's old age and Bill's young age, many artists that were carrying the artwork through to our generations, and the line follows through is another lesson from Bill. When you move in a design, you should be able to, in a flat design, you should be able to shorten up the line. So say, look down the side of the page and not see any kind of jog or interruption in your line. It should flow across, and the same thing follows. It's a little more complex, but looking over the planes of a carved piece, and again, where the line follows through is an extension of that unbroken line in the context of our show. So we're talking about the legacy and what carries forward from Bill's life into our lives and beyond.
And I think that's a really important part of the exhibition and one of our main points with the exhibition and the publication now. We had quite a few conversations to talk about what we could do with the publication. There's been many publications about Bill in the past, and we wanted to make sure that this book played a different role in the library of information about Bill. So it really is like trying to bring a more personal side to Bill, to get to know him as a person. And also we have a selection of works in the publication that are rarely seen works, sketches, unfinished works, works that are really about his process. And we wanted that maybe have never been published before. We also want to reflect his relationships with some of his the mentees, the people he worked with over the year. Gwaai being his last apprentice, but he worked with many other people such as George Rammel, James Hart, John Yeomans, Rick Atkins, so Robert Davidson. These voices and some of their artwork are also reflected in the publication. I think, Gwaai, was there anything else you want to say about how I should show the back of the book. This is the back cover of the book, which is a reflection. These are all beautiful pieces, tools, paintbrushes that Martine actually loaned to the exhibition. And they're really a great example of Bill's workspaces and his process of his artwork, molds and tools and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like one of my favorite parts of the exhibit. I mean, probably if we talk about anything specifically, it'll be my favorite part then. But I really like that little corner of the gallery where we can see, like, inside of that picture, there's so many things. There's a tool that Martine had given Bill so that he could still sign his prints. There's the shellac base of a bracelet that is now missing, but you could still see the ghost of his work inside of that. There's a door pull where he's made the Haida hat and skill out of some nuts and bolts. These are all things that are not often as exalted as some of his other great works, but they really, I think, possibly more than those finished pieces, open a window into who he is.
And part of that process and working with many other people was we want to reflect the next generation in the exhibition. So we did commission 2 works for the show, one by Corey Savard, and the other is a sound work by Kinney Starr. Now, unfortunately, we can't reflect the sound work in the publication, but we do have some images. Gwaai worked with Kinney to create some masks that the sound plays out of. So when you do come visit the exhibition, please take the time to go through and listen to the sound works as well. Why one of your first instructions was you really wanted to have Bill's voice whispering over the shoulder of the people traveling through the exhibition. So that sound and his golden voice throughout. So I think we can speak more afterwards, but as we mentioned, the idea of voices of friends and especially family were very important. And we were really thrilled that in the publication, we have artwork and a poem by Tyson Brown, who is Bill's grandson. And we also have an absolutely beautiful piece written by Jisgang Nika Collison, who is Bill's granddaughter. And I'd like to turn it over to Jisgang now and let her maybe tell us a little bit about her thoughts.
Oh, Beth, can everyone hear me? Yeah. Kuljat ganga, kilslai ganga, chaidagat la sis, scoutagi delang wad luhan scout gasu kiltla, Jisgang Nika Collison hanudik I gaga di kayatla nas chaidagai. Skile hanudi haka, gitkoyas hanudi auga, iljus hanudi chingalang. Wagin karanga jat hanudi nanai. Sa slindanai di skangul kaga. Nangulas hanu di tlalai. Wagin itgit galang hanu gitkoyas at tayanus. Ahayat di guringai la gutstalga. Ahayat di guringai yuanga. Chief Janice George, Kuljat Janice George, Allison, Beth, Gwaai, Nanai Martine, Chinai Allen, and at Dalang Wadluhan, Scoutigi Dalang Wadluhan, Gothel Kiltla. So, highborn women, highborn men, good people. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Jisgang Nika Collison. I'm from the Kayathlanis clan and of the Haida Nation, where I'm zooming in from. My mother was Gitkoyas, is Gitkoyas. My father was Skile. My husband is Nangulas, Danny Robertson. Our children are Gitkoyas and Tayanus. I feel so incredibly happy and proud to be here today. And I thank Chief Janice George and Allison and Beth and Gwaai and Nanai Martine and Chinai Allen and the rest of our family and friends. This book is really exciting, was very exciting for me to be a part of, as is the exhibition. I'm so happy to hear it's been extended. I will get down there. I just know that my family will be able to see it. The thing that made me happiest is based off of the fact that Haida means human being, as Bill would say, and as is the truth. Haida means human being. And it's not, this isn't a complaint, but it's not easy to grow up as Bill Reid's grandchild, and nor should it be, because Bill Ilduis was such a complex being. And so to know that a show was coming and a book was coming that was focused on Bill as a human being was extraordinary to me. And so to write for this book was very cathartic. Many complex emotions and memories. And it was so nice not to ask what I thought of all of his controversies. I'm always asked, what did you think of Bill? I'm like, who cares? Let's ask the people that are mad at him what they think. I don't need to go there. Well, what about all the people who revere him? That too, ask them. He's my Chinai, he's my grandfather. I love him. That's what matters. And so to be able to look back on my life with him, our life with him, was very hard to do. And I want to thank Beth and Gwaai for their patience. Getting some writing in about 4 months after the deadline. And then another 2 weeks after that deadline, and another 2 weeks after that one. So I'm appreciative of that. And what happened was each time I tried it was just, I've written very little about Bill previously. Bill Reid and Beyond, I did a preface. I do a little bit here and there, but it's hard when it's a real life person who's part of your family. And being a curator working at the Haida Gwaii Museum, I do write about people or things, and it felt so weird. And one day it just hit me, I don't need to write about Bill, I need to write to Bill. And it was really, then it just came out of me. And just to reflect back, like to think even, the first time I remember meeting Chinai Bill was somewhere up on North Beach, and I didn't get too much into it in the book, but I remember because I was so little sitting on the beach and Mom explaining to me, and I just remember sand running through my hand while he sat on a log. I must have been 5, like it was around the same time he came up to carve the Skidegit dogfish pole. But I was thinking about the pole because it's such a pivotal moment in so many of our lives. And then I think about, we lived at Kailnagai, my mom and I, Sea Lion Town, where the museum is today, right next to Skidegit. And I was 6, I guess, maybe. And we moved out of this tiny little trailer so that Chinai could live there and then carve the Skidegit dogfish pole with Gwaai's dad. So that's my real beginning of my relationship with my Chinai, and then to hear Gwaai's good stories of, jolly jumping off the end of the pole or crawling around in the wood chips, and then you think that Gwaai and I are clan siblings. We are both from the Kayaflana Searchath clan. And Martine is also brought into that clan, Nanai Martine. And but anyways, that our clan, our ocean origins, where we came out of the ocean, is at Kailnagai. And so there's a huge, millennia of history there that means a lot to us, and that Bill could be part of that. And that today, that, the same place our clan came out of the ocean, the same place I lived with my mother as a child, the same place that Gwaai jolly jumped around off of the Skidegit dogfish pole, the first pole to be raised in Skidegit in almost 100 years, and that Martine was there too. And now I run the museum there. And the other thing about Kailnagai is it's a storytelling town. So our oral historians, this is something Nangkingait Yuans, the late James Young, taught me. And Nangkingait Yuans is the son of Henry Young, who was one of Bill's greatest teachers of the old stories. So the stories Bill learned, I got to learn some from Nangkingait Yuans, and Nangkingait Yuans said Kailnagai was a storytelling town. This was one of the few places on Haida Gwaii where the formally trained oral historians would gather at certain times of the year and recount the part of our history they held the responsibility to remember and carry on. So it's fitting that today Kailnagai is still a storytelling town. It is fitting that Bill's legacy is embedded in that town. I could go on and on. I love that my brother Tyson Iljuis carries his name, both my Chinai's name, both my Chinai's, Bill Reid and Bill Stevens, are Gwaai Gwaai clan. And both carried the name Iljuis, and my brother Tyson does. And I like that Tyson, he got to learn from Robert Davidson. And I think Chinai Bill would be really happy with that. And he also got to study with Idansu, James Hart. And I think Chinai would be happy with that. It was nice to look at how much Bill's life has influenced his grandchildren, all of us in different ways. Kanu and I knew him quite well. Both of us lived with him like Gwaai did. Walker and Tyson, my brothers, were younger. They were around when the lutas was being carved, quite young. So they have younger memories. But I think we all carry maybe one of Bill's greatest legacies is he's instilled a sense of huge, the privilege of responsibility of being Haida in all of us. And so not just being human beings, but being human beings with the culture of Haida Gwaai, and how important it is to carry those values and ways and ways of communicating through art and language and oration and narration. And I'm really happy. I'm happy and grateful to Bill for that. I'm grateful to be Haida, and I'm grateful for the influence he's had on our family and our friends and the greater world and the bridging he did. In Bill's honor last year, 100th year, I made canned peaches with my kids, and that was an intimate thing that I threw in the story at the last moment. But I can't tell you what a big act that was to be able to make peaches with Bill's great grandchildren, you know, using a method he taught me to peel the peaches. He couldn't stand fuzzy peaches. And to think that, you know, some of his critical friendships, friends critical to his work and legacy and their work and legacy, George MacDonald, Bill McLennan and Bill Holm would have the chance, all four of them, to reunite on Bill's centennial. We're sad they're gone, but they're not gone, they're with us, and I'm happy that they're all probably cooking up some new ideas, and they'll hit Gwaai or me in the head with them, and we'll do something with them. Hey, Gwaai. So the other thing that I thought was spectacular was that, you know, Bill loved the final exam, that beautiful container, maybe a water bucket, maybe a food cooking bucket. And to be able to work with my brother Tyson, with my clan brothers, Gwaai and Jolin, and some very good, incredible Indigenous scholars on the coast to come to agreement, you know, that the final exam is of Haida manufacture. On Bill's centennial is pretty special in its own right. It felt like a lot of full circles, sort of a nice tidy wrap up of 100 years of chaos, because Bill's good at bringing the chaos, and it's the only way I know how to live, so I'm comfortable in that. But it was nice to have a little wrap up there. And then not a final though, we'll continue on. But I like that a lot, and I like this book. And I like best, as I wrote, Bill is neither revered nor burdened with controversy. He's just remembered with love as one who is Haida. Staudugi dalang waduhan gasul kiltla. How to you all?
Thank you so much, Nika. Nika's beautiful letter to her Chinai is really a highlight of the book, and I hope you all love it as much as I do. And I know that it was, we asked a lot of Nika to share so much personal information, but she just, it was definitely worth waiting for, I will say. I did just want to acknowledge as well that Nika's beautiful welcome in Haida language, and we worked, Gwaai and I, with Gwai's help and Nika's help, we were able to include some Haida language throughout the publication, and that was very important to us that we did that. And we worked with the SHIP, the Skidegate Haida, I forget the acronym, the Skidegate Haida Language Group did a wonderful job in helping us do some translations. And then Guagana, Diane Brown also did a beautiful Haida welcome for the publication. So thank you to them as well. Now, Nika actually did a beautiful segue for me to turn it over to Martine Reid, who tells the story of the final exam box and Bill's lovely relationship with it. So Martine, thank you so much for your contribution to the book and also for speaking with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, actually, I was reflecting about the nature of this little book. It is really a family affair, an extended family affair, really, because it also honors, as we have said, our departed friends, Bill Holm, McLennan, George MacDonald, and Uli. But I have the feeling that it grew organically, people bringing new photos, new ideas. The style is casual, friendly, respectful, and the Haida language resonates all along. Nika's piece is so wonderful and touching, a touching conversation with and about Bill, bringing him news of what the family, including his grandchildren and others, have achieved personally and culturally since he left us. This is a book in which Bill is very much alive. I'm not surprised, really, partly because he lived several lives and his voice still resonates so strongly in our memories, in our consciousness, subconsciousness. You can hear his voice, his humor, through many quotes, even through the many illustrations, his pride at the well-made object. You can feel his ardent desire for success for the Haida people and their descendants at all levels, personal, educational, environmental, political. Yes, Nika is right. Bill was a complicated man. He was what he did. Hawa Gwaai and Beth for this intimate, albeit multidimensional portrait of Bill's life and artistic accomplishments. As to my contribution in this book, Bill must be happy, I hope, to know for sure that thanks to the complex research that Northwest Coast Indigenous people and Nika, the final exam is finally declared of Haida manufacture. Another reason to be at peace, I was not that crazy after all, after what he said, to acquire the silver rendition for his birthday. And I'm also delighted that it is in a good home. So Ahawa to you all for making Golden Voice such a success. And merci to you all.
Thank you, Martine. And Martine wrote a beautiful story about the return of the silver box to Bill for his 75th birthday, I believe it was. And we have some great photos that Tony Cavelti took of the actual unwrapping of the book, of the box, with Bill's wonderful expression of surprise. It was really, really wonderful.
Yes.
So that is it for our formal presentations, but if anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer, or just also please do come and visit the gallery. We are open Wednesdays to Sundays, 11 to 5. There is lots of room for social distancing, and we have some a new exhibition opening upstairs next week, and all sorts of online programming as well, as we are all getting used to. So if you're not already a member signed up for our newsletter, please consider signing up for that, and you can stay in touch and hear what's happening at the gallery then. And the exhibition will continue until September 6th. And thank you so much to everybody for coming today to see the book. And I hope you'll get to see it in person really soon. And thanks so much. Take care and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Hawa.
Hawa.